Start now. Start pummeling them, saying this is what it's about. And this sort of both side of bullshit that, well, it's just another example of Washington dysfunction. It's a he said, she said thing. No, it's not. The people have no money. They can't afford it. And they are going to do this to give rich people a tax cut. The public is engaged. And if I see one more goddamn chin scratcher on TV saying a pox on both of your houses, it just shows just how dysfunctional Washington has become. No, there's something that is really at stake here. And you got to drive it home. It's at stake.
Now for the questions from our really, really smart listeners, James. They really are. They rise to the occasion. They teach us sometimes as much as we answer them. First question I'm going to combine two. Joe in Westlake, Ohio, and Richard in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, my stomping grounds. Joe says, I attended the No Kings March in Cleveland, but I have to ask, what impact does 7 million people marching in opposition to the president have? And Richard says the turnout at No Kings rally was great, but how do we keep it going and turn it into action?
Everybody is like, okay, so what? Well, the first thing it was cathartic to 7 million people. That's something to be said. Like, people will sit at home and says, God damn it, I did something.
Right.
Secondly, we underestimated in 2010, in 2009, the Tea Party. And we said, oh, these were crazy. They were this or that. That actually was a forerunner to something. It had some predictive ability. These were the most orderly, well-behaved, patriotic, and you watch. Of course, my contempt for Mike Johnson has there's no depth to it. There's no bottom to it, and they say
you like that lake down there.
Yes, the Chafalaya River that has no bottom,
river, right.
Without a bottom. Mike Johnson has no moral, no ethical bottom, none. And he also has zero self-awareness of how big of a goddamn hypocrite he is. But be that as it may, they're going to find out, to their very surprise, that a lot of real Americans, I believe, have been energized, activated, that this is a manifestation of something that we're going to see carried through in New Jersey and Virginia. And I just got a text, an unpaid advisor, Republican nominee for governor of New Jersey, advocated a ban on same-sex marriage.
And he doesn't take any money from Jews.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's coming, folks. It is coming. It's coming big time. And for God's sakes, scrub Generelli, keep him on the defensive, beat him bad, make him answer, make him responsible for what all these racist, goofy people that are supporting him are saying. Now, the story's on Politico. Unfortunately, I got blocked on my cell phone to read it, but look it up. Look it up as we talk it.
Yeah. No, I read it. You're right. It said well, apparently a top supporter of his said, I'm against same-sex marriage, and I don't take any money from Jews. But in any event,
right.
Next,
right, they can return all the Jewish contributions here.
Well, it wasn't the candidate. It was his top aide.
It was a big unpaid advisor. Just do anything. Call on anything. Call him to drop out.
Yeah.
Just keep the microphone in his face. Hit him hard. Hit him.
Mike in Uncastville, Connecticut. I don't know Uncastville, Connecticut.
Right.
He says, why? This is a good question. This is a really good question. Why am I not hearing anything about the FBI investigation of Tom Homan, where they have him on video accepting a paper bag loaded with $50,000? Mike, you are absolutely, they are running away. They are ducking. They're afraid of this. This guy in September of 2024, on an undercover FBI sting operation, takes $50,000, promising that if Trump's elected, he's going to get contracts for these people who he thought were bidding for contracts. They really were FBI sting agents. 50 grand, put it in a Casa Laundry grocery bag, and won't tell us what happened to it. And when you watch J.D. Vance on George Stephanopoulos' show or Pam Bondi before the Senate Judiciary Committee, they don't want to answer this. They keep saying, well, Tom wouldn't do anything wrong. Of course not. Tom, it's time to know. What did you do with the 50 grand? What did you get for it? Did you give it back? After all, it really was taxpayers' money. And if you didn't give it back, did you do anything for it? And did you declare it on your income tax return? This is something that should not go away. This guy is a big figure in this administration. And to me, he may seem like a thug, but he took a 50 grand, what looks like a bribe from the FBI agents, and we don't hear anything about it.
Is there a videotape?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so and this is something. So very often you hear people say this is. People don't understand this. Okay, they got a campaign contribution, and then they had this guy, and somebody over assesses the value of a house to get a loan, and people have a hard time digesting it. This is the easiest thing in the world. Cash in a bag. You take the bag, you take the cash. It's on videotape. So what's going to happen when the Democrats take the House back? This is why these congressional elections are so important. And they have a congressional subpoena. Well, you're going to have to make the Supreme Court go through a lot of intellectual flip-flops or whatever they do. They'll probably do it. But, man, you got a bag, $50,000 of cash, and a high-ranking government official. Everybody understands that.
And an FBI.
And an FBI understands that. And there's a videotape.
Right.
It's out there. And we got to, and George did a good job. Every time they go on, if you don't ask them, why won't they release this? Make them fucking answer. All of them. Not just him, not just Pam Bondi. Make Marco Rubio answer it. Make everybody answer it. Where's the 50 grand? Where's the bag? Would you, if you were in the Senate, Secretary Rubio, would you subpoena this paper bag? Would you subpoena this video? We're just not fucking tough enough. Listen to me, New Jersey. Hit this son of a bitch hard. Everywhere you can hit him.
James, another good question from E, whatever E is. And he or she is from Kentuckiana. I assume that's the border of Kentucky and Indiana, but says, what strategy do you think can be used to clean up this clearly corrupt Supreme Court?
Well, this is what I believe. I believe that the Democrats, if they win in 2028, I don't think this should say anything. There's one way to clean it up, and that is you go from 9 to 13. That's it. Mm-hmm. Anything else, they're going to say, it's a separate branch of government. We're not subjected to, they already tell you, they're not subjected to any ethical rules. They're played by entirely different. A third grader is held to a higher ethical standard than the Supreme Court justice. You're not going to change that, so just go to 13 when you get power. Bingo.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. It's terrible policy. There's all kinds of reasons that you shouldn't do it. And by the way, make Puerto Rico and D.C. a state. Add 4 senators. It's desperate times require desperate measures. Don't talk about it. Don't run on it. Run on it. Talk about how you're going to help them in a way that should really help the middle class. It's expand the Supreme Court and add. And don't have 50 states anymore. Have 52. It's not that much trouble to add a couple more stars to the flag.
Right. The next question comes from Dave in Fairfax, Virginia, who says, what are the swing states you think candidates in 2028 will be focused on? Will they be the same as 2024, or will we see states like Georgia finally go solidly blue? Dave, sometimes there can be, huge changes over a period of time. It was only 35 or 40 years ago that California and New Jersey were basically Republican states, and West Virginia and Arkansas were basically Democratic states. That obviously has switched. I don't see any big switch right now. Maybe you don't see it till it happens. Democrats say Texas will become a swing state. They've been saying that for 25 years and it hadn't happened. Maybe someday it'll happen. But I think it's going to be the same as you saw before, the blue wall, Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and then Georgia will not be solidly blue, but it could be purple, and North Carolina and a couple of those states out west, Arizona, Nevada. Now, maybe one or two. I think Iowa may be added to that list, but it basically is going to be the same as 2024.
I dissent. And as my authority from my dissent, I will quote Vladimir Lenin. Stop. Okay. God was a lot of things. He said, history goes decades with nothing happening. And then sometimes history goes weeks with decades happening. I think that can be true of politics, that political change sometimes happens on history's clock in a very, very short period of time. It's not an evolution. And to some extent, it's a revolution. And if it's, and remember, we're 1/8 of the way into this administration, and he's already at 37%. The image of the Democratic Party is in the toilet. It's at 31. If they start winning elections, and by the way, I think they have a golden issue on the shutdown. I think there's a golden issue with these subsidies. And one of the things is speaking to a bunch of people, and I did not realize what a difference these subsidies for health insurance make. I thought it was going to be like $175 a year. It's no such thing. Thousands, and it should be running ads now. Now is the time to start kicking the shit out of them. Don't wait. Don't wait till we get in an election cycle. It will raise all this soft money. There's Democratic money pouring in everywhere. Do an ad, put it online, ask these big people to fund it. Start now. Start pummeling them, saying this is what it's about. And this sort of both side of bullshit that, well, it's just another example of Washington dysfunction. It's a he said, she said thing. No, it's not. The people have no money. They can't afford it. And they are going to do this to give rich people a tax cut. The public is engaged. And if I see one more goddamn chin scratcher on TV saying a pox on both of your houses, this just shows just how dysfunctional Washington has become. No, there's something that is really at stake here. And you got to drive it home. It's at stake.
So what new states will be added to the swing states block?
I guess it was Yogi said predictions are very hard to make, especially about the future. Think of states that have a lot of college people moving in and a lot of old white people dying off. Okay. I'll go with North Carolina, Georgia, and Texas.
Well, and North Carolina and Georgia are there. I agree.
I'll go with the solidification, the continued march of blue toward Arizona and Georgia. But remember, we need an inspirational candidate. Great political changes are not by issues so much as they are by inspirational people.
Right.
And I think that we could have. I just was farting around last night with some friends of mine texting, and I said, what percent do you think a Mitch Landrieu, Liz Cheney ticket would get in 2028? A lot. And by the way, that's not the only combination out there that would really shake up American politics. We are in desperate times, people. We need to try different things. The same shit is not working. Be bold. Think of different things, because there's going to be great opportunities coming from 2026 to 2028. I think there's great opportunities coming in less than 2 weeks in Virginia and New Jersey. Okay. Look what happened in New York City. Look how fast that came. Look how fast it turned around.
Yeah.
All right. Remember, change can come so fast. We're not accustomed to it. And I think it's coming. I hope it is. I'm praying for it.
Okay, let's get back to the present, because Annie in Minneapolis, Minnesota asked you, why are Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner negotiating the Israel-Gaza crisis? They're not in the government or the cabinet.
Thank you, man. I love you. Let me break it to you as gently as I can. It's all about money. Everything they do is about money. So obviously, Jared and Witkoff know how to get their cut to see that Trump gets his cut. This is all about the cut. And anything that happens over there, you have these countries that are sitting on, I don't know, God knows what of petrodollars, and this is all flowing in their pocketbooks. This is about, like, everything they do, at the bottom of it is greed, corruption, and money. That's who they are.
Yep.
And who better to do that than people whose whole life is about greed, corruption, and money? Remember, Jared was in a $2 billion deal to Saudis while his father-in-law was president.
Yeah.
By the way, you want to know what the dominant issue in 2028, I think, is going to be? It's always going to be the middle class. It's always going to be affordability crisis. It's always going to be democracy. Watch out the corruption issue, and you just keep exposing this and expose it. And again, as I say, you go decades of nothing happening, and you go weeks or decades happening. And the $50,000 paper bag, people can understand that.
Yep.
Our, Middle East money, they understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Push.
Annie, I think you've been given your answer here. Douglas, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to ask your question, even though Douglas says he is not on any weird island. We have never had a question from a weird island. Those are great islands.
What is a weird island?
I don't know, but anyway, Douglas, you say, is there a Republican congressional representative in a vulnerable district the Democrats should focus on to get them to switch their vote on the Epstein petition? Douglas, let me tell you this. I think they got to make sure they hold all the people they have when they James's good friend, Mike Johnson, who's engaged in absolutely outrageous, despicable behavior and refusing to swear in a new member from Arizona, because that would force 218 votes. You'd have to bring the Epstein resolution to release everything to the floor. If they get that, I worry a little bit about Nancy Mace being pressured off. But if not, and it comes to a floor vote, you're going to get a lot more than 218. You're going to get a lot of these Republicans are going to be protecting themselves. It's just, it's they can, as Joe Louis said, you can run, but you can't hide. And Mike Johnson's trying to hide. He ain't going to get away with it.
You make a good point. This is what I'd say. I know that by the way, like any good lawyer, they'll say, put off. Just any kind of delay. And there's a benefit. I've seen good lawyers. I've seen them around, and they believe in delay as much as they believe in anything. That's obviously what they're doing now. Tell me how this ends satisfactorily for them. What is, if you're caught up in this, if you're a Republican House member, give me your most optimistic scenario for the conclusion of this. There is none.
Right.
There is. It's not going away. It's too easy for people to understand. The criminality is too inbred. The crime is too easy to understand. This Virginia Guilford, if I mispronounce her name, I apologize. This book is really something.
It sure is.
And what they did, can you imagine if somebody did something like that to one of your daughters or your wife? I mean, what they were doing was just unfucking believable.
No.
And what kind of weirdo would get any satisfaction out of forcing themselves on a child? And Mike Johnson, okay, and this is why I'm going to tell you my hatred for him, and I know you shouldn't have that, and I understand that, but he's so dishonest. He's so duplicitous. He's so self-righteous. And he would be like appalled that he's doing it. He wants her family to be there for the swearing in. He just lies, and he does it like he thinks he's telling the fucking truth.
Yeah.
All right? I cannot. My contempt for him as a fellow human being, there's nobody. This is a Chapelai River. I just can't. I can't. Some of these people don't bother me.
James, on next week's show, please tell us what you really think about some of these things. Okay. Don in Avondale, Arizona, asked, what would happen if President Trump ignores or doesn't obey if by any chance he should get an unfavorable ruling from the Supreme Court?
On what issue?
Well, on any issue, if the court rules one way and Trump says, "Hey, I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to obey it."
Well, the one thing you will know, when the Supreme Court rules against him, it will be because they think it is in the best interest of the Republican Party. You have to understand this about the Supreme Court. Whatever they say, you have to do, because they can lock your ass up. Okay?
Right.
You do not need to respect them. You do not need to think that they legit. This Supreme Court does not look at the facts and try to apply the law the best they can in a different interpretation.
That's for
They
sure.
are a fully owned adjunct of the Republican Party. In anything that and if they ever rule against Trump, it is going to be because they thought it was in the interest of the Republican Party for them to rule against it. They'll never make a ruling based on judicial interpretation or stare decisis or statutory construction or tradition or anything else. They are a nakedly political operation. You should look at them as such, but you have to, when they say something, these sons of bitches will lock you up if you go against it.
Well, there's precedent for what you say, James. They voted against Trump after the 2020 election. That's because they thought Trump was yesterday. He was gone. The interests of the Republican Party were with others. They've changed their tune once they found out he wasn't yesterday.
And if they determine that it's in the interest of the Republican Party to rule against him, they're not in the Trump's hip pocket, they're in the Republican Party's hip pocket.
Yeah. All right, listen. We love these questions. I'm even letting who was it? I let somebody by who just said that they were from Kentuckiana, but and someone from not on any weird island. But keep them coming.
We'll just say some Evansville.
Yeah, keep them coming because we love your questions. If we didn't get to them this week, we'll try to get to them next week.
There's some Orangeburg,
right?
Davies County. There's some Davies County, Kentucky.